Well, this week we don't really have news to go over. Instead, I'm gonna you'll hear an interview from Duffy at Covalent, and he's gonna go over some eBPF stuff from Explore US 2022. Wait, what year has this been? 2022?
It is 22. I'm really excited by the eBPF stuff. I started to read about it recently, and it's really caught my interest. So yeah.
We'll have to have an episode where you kind of explain what the deal with that is, and maybe you can do a YouTube short where you explain it all, like eBPF in 60 seconds. That would be fun.
I would love to know enough to be able to record that video. I don't yet, but yeah, it looks fascinating.
So I thought what we would do right before I play that interview, which will be coming up, it's an interview again from Explore 2022 that Alex Williams of the New Stack and I did with Duffy after his talk. I kind of vaguely remember it, so it'll be fun to listen to it again. But we have the best conference for developers and platform engineer types and operators, and also managers who are getting their organization better at software coming up December 6th to 8th in San Francisco, SpringOne. And I thought Ben and I would share one talk we're looking forward to there this episode. Now, if you're listening to that and you want to register, you can get $200 off with the code COTE200. And Ben, you pointed out yesterday when we were talking about this, there's actually a track missing from SpringOne. What is that track? I think this was a good insight.
There is. I think every conference always has this missing track. Whenever you see the agenda, there's a track missing. The hallway track. It's the track, right? It's the place where you can go to solve your problems. Whatever problem you have, there's a hallway track for you.
And I think that was a obviously that's being a little clever, but that's fine. That's good, because it is. I think especially after 3 or so years, it's easy to forget that a huge part of the value is not just seeing people and hanging out with them, but getting the chance to actually ask questions and kind of I don't know. Most people who are implementing this kind of stuff in the old application development and cloud native and container stack and all this, there's a whole bunch of idiosyncratic weird stuff that they have to put up with. And really having someone to discuss it with is quite handy. One of my colleagues was he was telling me back at our last in-person conference, or maybe the second to last. I think 2019 was the last one, right, Ben? If I remember. It might have even been in Austin, of all places.
You mean in person?
Yeah.
Yeah, Austin, definitely, yeah.
And there was I think it was a panel discussion or a keynote or a talk, and someone from Cerner had been talking about how they had been using Spring and I think at the time Pivotal Cloud Foundry stuff, and then someone from Wells Fargo was up there, and then afterwards people were able to talk to those individuals about how they were securing things and setting them up. And if you imagine that all over the conference, especially when it comes to the development topics, since there'll be so much Spring stuff there, you really get the chance to just go talk with people and have the conversation you're having to solve things out. And to that end, the talk I wanted to highlight, I was looking through the talks again this morning, is we have one from Joseph at the U.S. Army. And it's basically an overview of how they've been, he doesn't actually say it in the abstract, but for us industry insiders, Ben, I'll use the summary word, how they're doing DevSecOps stuff, how they're, securing the software, the code that they have, the process of doing it, and hopefully all the way up to the runtime environment they're using. I think the U.S. Army uses both the Tanzu application service and Kubernetes-based stuff, like a lot of people. But that'll be a good talk, one, to see how they're securing things. Because I figure, if the Army's not doing some security thing, it probably doesn't need to be done. So whatever it is they're doing is probably the maximal amount of security you would ever care about. And so that'll be nice. But then afterwards, I don't want to put some work on them, but you could ask questions during the talk, or maybe try to blockade speakers from leaving the room until the kind AV people are like, oh, we've got the next speaker coming up. Could y'all move it out into the hallway? But it'll be setting up securing all this stuff is there's all sorts of great standards and ways of doing it. But as Oren, who was a couple of months ago talked about when he was on here, a lot of securing this stuff is the non-code stuff around policy and putting together your CISO-oriented stuff. So that would be the kind of conversation you could have with them and other people who are there. So you can see the listing if you go to springone.io and look for U.S. Army or Joseph. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes at tanzutalk.com. But how about you, Ben? What's one talk you think you're looking forward to that maybe crosses over into this missing track?
Absolutely. So, apologies. If you can hear that, that's the sound of a platform being built.
Exactly.
I'm having a platform built, so apologies if you can hear that. But I've picked out one of my favorite people to listen to, Brian Chang, who is taking basically a whole bunch of people and doing a panel. You talked about panels just a second ago, and sometimes I find a panel strangely comforting somehow. There's lots of people to see, there's folks to listen to, and they've all got different perspectives on a particular problem. So Brian's running the Tanzu Vanguard panel, and it's entitled Priceless Insights. So reading a little bit from the description, it's basically the super user community for VMware Tanzu coming together to talk about various different problems from different perspectives. And the two perspectives that I'm pretty sure you're gonna hear about from this particular talk, one is the kind of deep dive into something technical. What that could be is something that will be decided probably on the day, but it'll be something deeply technical, I'm sure. And then at the same time, you'll also have this kind of management aspects of that. How do we optimize our organization to realize this new thing, whether it's DevSecOps or whether it's platforms or whatever it might be. So I'm really looking forward to that one, because there's also an audience Q&A, so it's built into the talk. It's not sort of a couple of minutes at the end. It's kind of, we're definitely going to dig deep into the experience of all these folks on the stage, and we've got some really, really good folks on the stage as well. I'll read the list. We've got Greg Mayer, who works for VMware. I know Greg, and he does some great stuff, for example, with accelerators on the Tanzu application platform. We've got Jim Cole from Great American Insurance. We've got Jim Fox, also from Great American Insurance, and we've got Kelly Schaffer, also from One Magnify. She's a senior IT director. So we've got a good mix of technologists and management type folks in there. So I'm pretty sure you'll get a varied and quite interesting talk as a result. So I'm looking forward to that one. Priceless Insights by the Vanguards.
Well, I have to say, you picked, as we used to say before I was born, a real humdinger there, because I also had that one on my list of talks I was looking forward to, and I think there's at least one person on that panel, if not two, who we had as they say in the business, a webinar, or you could just call it an online talk. I moderated a panel with several of the Vanguard about like the use of metrics in their organization, doing software, and it was great to talk with them, and it was a good example of like the things you can do in person at a conference is. When we were doing it online, but when we were discussing it ahead of time and talking with each other, we came up with new ideas and new things to talk about with relation to metrics, and there was even a few sort of like, I never thought about it that way, and questions the panelists had on each other and how they were tracking things. And fun fact, that's when I was in the U.S. last, and I actually had that conversation in the middle of Texas on I-35 in a Starbucks parking lot, because I needed to use the internet, which was thankfully I had a nice car that I could sit in and do it. And then I went inside and I had some of those sous vide egg things, the Mediterranean one, I believe.
And did the internet that you were using also have a big key that was changed to like a lavatory seat? Exactly.
Just like in that movie, The Jerk, it was a tire rim that it was secured to. Yep, that's right. But yeah, that'll be a good panel. And to Ben's point, right? Like there should be at least a third of it, I would hope, if not more, where you can ask whatever you want, whether it's off topic or not, and have that conversation going. Well, anyhow, to check out those two talks and other ones, obviously, I'll put a link in the show notes to those exact panels at tanzutalk.com. But you should go check out the rest of them. If you go to springone.io and you click on, I think it's schedule, and then you click on breakout sessions. You can scroll through those, and there's other stuff there, as Ben has mentioned several times. There's workshops, all sorts of them, mostly focused on programming, but there's some operational ones. And I just realized there's also a whole .NET day, a whole .NET conference going on as well for those in the .NET world. And if you register, you can use the code COTE200 to get $200 off, which, just think of how many hot dogs that would buy if you're into that. Whether they're real meat, beef, pork, whatever it may be. That's a lot of hot dogs you could purchase, which, us at VMware are going to be lacking that amount of hot dogs because you'll be getting a discount, but we would like you to enjoy the hot dogs instead of us.
Now, this talk of hot dogs, I can't help but think of Everything Everywhere All at Once, the new movie.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's a complete parallel universe where everyone's fingers are hot dogs, if you haven't seen it.
Exactly.
You got to see it. It's crazy.
That's right. It's sort of like the cute and endearing Rick and Morty, instead of being, very nihilistic and offensive. Indeed. Well, on that note, what you'll hear next is from Explore 2022. So we had a stage there, and we had 5 people from, I don't know, I would say basically the cloud container Kubernetes-ish software development startup world come out, and we have one from Duffy from Isovalent did a talk about eBPF, about kind of doing networking stuff. As I'm always joking, layer 6.5. Networking, kind of at the service mesh type of layer, and kind of how eBPF does that, and obviously a little bit about Isovalent, as I recall. And then afterwards, he came over and talked with Alex Williams and I, and it was a fun interview, of which I remember precious little. So when I'm editing it in, I'll have to see how great it was by listening to it. And we'll be back next week with a little bit of news and other stuff. Enjoy the interview. All right, there we go. We'll have a little bit of streamer's delight, as we call it on my other podcast here, before I end the interview. But that's right. That was good stuff. It's a nice sunny day here. I'm gonna go as we were saying. I am going to go get my eyes checked to get some glasses. So maybe I don't know. I'll see. Maybe next time. I think maybe. You use feet there still, right? Over there across the channel. I think maybe feet to walk around as a measurement distance. I think I'm about 2 feet from the screen.
Yeah, I still use feet. Obviously that's how I got here today.
Well, I don't know. Maybe part of the economic stimulus is to start putting wheels on the bottom of everyone's feet. It's like the wheelies in the Wizard of Oz.
Or to have your feet chopped away from under you. That's more like it, I think. Yeah, we still use feet, but I think you should go for the really small circular ones.
Oh yeah.
I think this would fit your frame beautifully, and it would really be
kind of like sci-fi Bob Denver, like I think is what I need to shoot.
It could be brilliant. I reckon it would really suit you. I remember telling you once that you looked a little bit like C6 Steve, and I wasn't sure whether you were completely offended by that, because I don't think you knew who that was at the time.
Yeah, who is that?
Yeah, he's a singer, right? C6 Steve is a singer. You can Google him.
Okay.
But he's got your kind of beardy look. But,
okay.
But yeah, he doesn't have glasses though. Who am I thinking of? There must be. I reckon a Western. In a Western, there's always the
yes.
guy who owns the store.
And he's got the little glasses. The grocer.
Yeah. I think maybe with the Texan accent thing you've got going on as well.
Yeah.
I reckon this could be perfect. I think you might have unlocked a new.
I think that's good. Why buy half a pound of flour when you could buy a full pound? You might need it out there when you're looking for your pan and gold and whatnots.
You could measure people up as you meet them.
Yeah. It can be like the Undertaker.
Yeah,
you're a tall drink of water.
I got the store, but I also do some coffin making.
Coffin making. Well, speaking of coffin making, we'll have to end this stream, and we'll be back next week. Bye, all you streamer people.